talk. We're going to yap for maybe 20 minutes.
No talk.
Yeah. Mike wasn't in the mood to talk because he's all business, right, Wade?
Yeah, like when I watched Mike come into the arena today, I happened to kind of be in the back while he was walking in. I was like, oh, we're not getting anything out of Mike. But that's kind of what you want, right? Kind of what you want. By the way, just really quick, I got to take a sip of my Celsius.
Okay, yeah, product placement. How many is that for you today? 6, 7?
That would be number 12. No, it is the second one of the day, but this is our brand new flavor with Celsius, by the way.
He says hour.
Cherry cola. I mean, listen, the boxing lab, we got
There we go. There we
but
go.
this was the thing I saw with Mike. He was angry to a degree that you haven't seen Mike really be. Yeah, he's irritable sometimes, but this is fight Mike. I think that, Leanardi, you would know more than I would. This is how he looked back in the day, right, when those fights were coming up, and it was terrifying.
Is that an age thing? Is that?
I'm just,
no, but look, man, it's definitely vintage Mike in a lot of ways. I mean, that's, I think, exciting, right? And if it was anybody else, given those kind of answers, people would be like, oh, man.
Yeah.
But it's Mike Tyson, man. This Iron Mike.
It's crazy.
It's, his presence speaks for itself in a lot of ways. And I think he's locked in. I think he's ready to go. I think he's ready for a fight, man. It's going to be exciting.
You know what I'm thinking, too, with this fight? Mike, obviously, his heyday, late 80s, early 90s. We didn't have social media. We didn't have these live post-fight shows. We didn't have extravagant press conferences. It was kind of like right to the point.
I think yesterday was maybe the first time he ever did an open workout.
That's what I mean. So it was like almost right to the point back in the 80s and 90s. There was a lot of fanfare back then, don't get me wrong. But I don't know if you knew like the scope of everything, where you got to be on all the time to sell, which Jake has obviously mastered at this point in his career. But for Mike, like you're right, like this guy went in there and he would let his boxing do the talking.
Yeah.
And that's what we're seeing today. But I also think Mike is realizing this is a new age. You really have to sell. You really have to put yourself out there. And he's not really not interested, nor do I think he has to, because he's Iron Mike Tyson.
He doesn't have to.
Right. Yeah.
Anyone else would have to. Look, I mean, Tyson comes from a day and age where weigh-ins weren't public.
Yeah.
There was no such thing as an open workout. There was no such thing as face-to-face.
Netflix didn't exist.
Netflix definitely didn't exist. Not even
VHS.
Not even the DVD version of Netflix existed. So, it's definitely something different. We touched on it during the face-to-face, and this is the biggest event Mike Tyson's ever been a part of. That sounds crazy on the surface.
You just blew my mind with that.
Yeah.
It sounds insane, right? Like he fought Lennox Lewis. He
Holyfield.
He fought Holyfield twice. No, this is the biggest event. Those were at the, well, not Lennox Lewis, but Holyfield, those were at the old MGM Grand that held 15,000, 16,000 people. Everybody watched it. But
as big as it gets.
This is as big as it gets.
Yeah.
This is as big as it gets.
We watched Mike, and obviously he steals the show, and you kind of said it. He steals the show without even trying. Like, I post anything on Twitter and just put the name Mike Tyson in it. It just floods my timeline.
I think he's top 5 most famous people in the world.
Yeah, I think without a doubt.
Recognizable face.
I think without a doubt. And you were on the fighter meeting.
Yeah.
He said a line, and our fighter meetings were last week. He said a line that still is resonating with me. I'm aware of my preeminence.
He'll drop those sometimes, and it's like, wow.
And another thing too, like,
and it's evident.
Yeah.
It's evident. It's on stage. Yeah. His preeminence is evident.
That's a great Mike Tyson-ism. You know those Yogi-isms, Yogi Berra? There's some Mike Tyson-isms. When I was watching the Netflix Countdown show, and like with Mike Tyson, we know so much about him.
Yeah.
Like if you follow boxing, if you're just a casual sports fan, you know that he loves pigeons. You know that he comes from Brownsville. You know about Customato. You know about the Catskills. You know about his rise, his fall, his rise again. But one thing during that Netflix special, I go out and watch it if you haven't already, that I learned about Mike is I wondered if he was getting tired of the fanfare. I wondered if he gets tired of getting flooded when he goes to the mall. But he said his wife said to him, if you didn't get recognized, and if people didn't come up to you asking you for photos, you would hate it.
Yeah.
Like you would think that something is wrong. So he enjoys that limelight. Don't get it wrong. Like don't get it twisted. Like he didn't say too much up there because he's literally getting ready for a fight. But he loves this. He loves that he's gonna be front and center.
I'll tell you this.
Without a doubt. And that's, I'm sorry, Wade, but that's the hardest thing I think for fighters to walk away from is boxing being a singular sport where all the attention's on you. That's why fighters, I mean, almost to a man, always come back after they retire.
Right.
There's nothing else that scratches that itch. And especially when you can be a main event in an event like this, you're the headliner of an event like this. Come on.
I'll tell you who didn't like it. His opponent, Jake Paul, was super fed up with Mike. And it seemed like it's kind of twofold for me. I think he was fed up because he feels that, and to be honest, Jake has for a long time carried a lot of promotion. And this one, he doesn't really have to, but I think he wants a little more out of Mike. I think he wants to get to Mike a little more. And this is maybe the first time he hasn't really gotten under someone's skin, right? He wore the diamond earpiece, which is probably worth more than anything I'll ever own, ever. And you saw Jake get a little agitated to the point where he started, let's be honest, checking people. Did you? I was shocked by it, but it was so entertaining to watch.
That was wild. It was awesome, man. I've never seen that at a press conference before. I mean, Jake does a lot of things that people have never done before, so that's not a huge surprise.
Yeah.
But, yeah, him going to a man and to a woman saying, oh, you want to bet? You want to bet?
Yeah.
What was the score?
Let's get into that. 9-3. The three fighters up at the dais. So if you hadn't seen the press conference yet, Ariel, I thought, did a great job.
Fantastic.
Who's watching the show that didn't,
Right.
that didn't see the
So
press
Ariel
conference.
asked
Anyway.
the fighters, 12 fighters up there, who do you think is going to win one by one? 9-3 in favor of Mike Tyson. The three that were going for Jake, Shadiza Green, who else?
Lucas Body,
and Amanda Serrano. So obviously those are some fighters that are aligned with MVP. But
MVP
also,
fighters.
they believe that Jake's going to win.
Of course.
Those that picked Mike are going with nostalgia. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are going to go with that too. But Jake had enough at that point. I think he was upset, like you said, Jake. Like you said, you're not Jake, you're Wade. Like you said.
At this point, I wish. Come on, you know what I'm saying?
I think.
Wade, Jake, Plem.
Yes, I like that.
We hate syllables.
I think that Jake was a little upset or a little frustrated with Mike not like giving in to some of his tricks.
Yeah.
So at that point, once he heard 9 of the fighters picking against him, he's going to go in real time and check them one by one, not on Twitter.
Stole the show to me.
Went up to each person, called them out. They had nothing to say. They don't have the bank accounts that Jake does.
Some of them did have stuff to say, and
Hardest one was Bruce Carrington. I love Bruce Carrington, but he was
the
just
first one.
He
Yeah,
was the
being the
first.
first
He was
was
in the line of fire.
Yeah.
He didn't know what to say. Jake hit him with a line.
Yep.
I make more money doing whatever than you will in your whole career, and that's just what Jake's gonna do. But those that were like down the line, like it's almost like you're in school when you're getting picked on last
Literally.
read in school. Like you should have had something. Who said the $20 line?
$20.
Dana Coolwell.
Dana Coolwell.
Yeah.
How about Casamonica agreeing to $1 million, having no idea what was being said to him?
I think Katie Taylor put up her whole entire purse too.
Yeah, Katie Taylor's like purse for purse.
I have a feeling, and Dan might have picked up on this, Casamonica, mille in Italian is 1,000. So he probably heard million and thought 1,000.
He was like,
"Yeah,
cool.
I could do 1,000.
Oh no!
I'm speculating a little
The
bit. but
smartest man in the entire exchange was Wynterson Nunes, who just proclaimed he didn't speak English. Perfect.
I'm out. I don't know what you're going to say. That's a tough thing there. When you have Jake Paul going up to you, trying to call you out in front
On
of
the
everyone,
spot.
you know that the millions are watching this press conference, and you also know that could be money on the line. Like you might get a call from our MVP lawyer.
I'll say this. Jake follows up on bets. Ask Tyron Woodley about that finger tattoo he got. He follows up on those
Did
things.
these fighters actually follow through with these bets? How many times have we seen this in press conferences?
rare.
Very
I think
rare.
it's very rare.
I think
I think
Ryan
it's very
Garcia and Devin Haney hit a bet in one of their last fights when they wanted to, the $3 million,
I'm telling you,
$1 million per pound.
Jake follow. I'm just saying. I've seen him. I've watched Jake like a hawk over these last 4 years.
I know
You said he
Tommy
was gonna
got hit
follow
with a contract.
There you go.
He didn't sign it, but Tommy got hit with a
I'm saying.
contract.
And he said he's like, I'm following up.
Yep.
We'll see.
I got in last night, so
Yeah.
I missed the fighter workout. I do want to talk about that for a
Yeah.
second. Man, that shit. Can we curse?
Bro, try not
That
to.
stuff
Try not
that
to.
looked amazing. That looked like Mike hitting those pads got me fired up, and I think
Yeah.
it fired up a lot of people out there. What was the atmosphere for the workout?
It was great. Obviously, seeing Mike, you just never know what you were going to get. He actually went through a full workout like it was behind closed doors, which is super interesting.
But definitely didn't have those in his heyday either.
No, that's. I mean, that's. Wade and I were talking earlier. I made the point. It's open workout wasn't a thing. So, and speaking with John, our head of production, or Joe, as Jake likes to call him.
Yeah, Joe.
He made the comment. We should take this clip of Mike Tyson and send it to every fighter going forward before an open workout. And if they don't want to perform, it's like, well, you're bigger than Mike Tyson.
That's a good
Actually,
point.
You want to come
Absolutely.
jump rope? You want to come shadow box?
Yeah.
Mike Tyson did a workout.
How many open workouts have you been to?
Oh man,
Millions.
I could never tell you.
Right, and sometimes the trend now is these guys don't even put on hand wraps, let alone gloves.
they do
And they just
push-ups, they
stand there,
shadow
push-ups,
box,
and they
yeah.
talk to the media that's on the apron. Mike was in a full body
Went
sweat.
for it. I loved it. I loved
Came
it.
out hands wrapped. Ready for violence. I love it.
But I also think it was like a way for people that, maybe can't make it to AT&T Stadium or they're going to be watching on Netflix to catch a glimpse.
It's that, when Kobe had his last run with the Lakers, right? And he really made sure to play as many games as possible because maybe the last time you see him, that farewell tour. But something we don't want to say farewell to and something I'm super excited about, I wanted to talk to you guys about too. This co-main event is insane, man. Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, too. It just feels like it could main event any other card and potentially even this one. So what do you guys think? How are you feeling?
I mean, obviously it's a tremendous fight. There's nothing you can say about the first fight that hasn't been said. I mean, exceeded all expectations. The biggest women's fight of all time, the best women's fight of all time. Sold out Madison Square Garden. I mean, all the superlatives have been said.
Yeah.
Their timelines didn't quite sync up to do an immediate rematch or even a closer in time rematch. Amanda got hurt, and then Katie took it. Katie didn't want to fight. Didn't want to wait to fight.
Right.
Then she took a loss, and of course Katie's got to get her get back. She won, but now we're here, right? Look. There's no better fight to make in women's boxing. There might not be a better fight to make in boxing.
Right. I was going to say.
Agree.
And to your point, you could put this in any number of cities around the world. You could do it in Ireland. You could do it in Puerto Rico. You could do it in New York. You could do it in Orlando. I mean, and it would sell out. And it would sell out in NBA-sized arena. And not only is this not behind it's Netflix has a paywall, but it's $7, right? It's free. The fight's free. It's at AT&T Stadium. There's going to be 60,000 people there. I mean, what more can you ask for? And you guys know this because you do a lot of work with us, but we're always putting women's boxing towards the forefront, equal footing as men's boxing, and this is just such a tremendous fight. Everyone keeps asking me. I'm sure they're asking you guys, just like Jake and Mike, all the boxing fans, who's going to win, Katie or Amanda? And I don't know.
You know what's wild is that Amanda Serrano is an underdog in this fight. How many times in Amanda Serrano's career has she been an underdog? I just cannot wait. I've been very, very lucky.
Probably the first time because the first fight was even.
First fight was even.
Yeah.
I've been very, very lucky to be ringside for a lot of big fights going back to when I was a kid. And I'll tell you right now, that night at Madison Square Garden, that entire week, the build-up for Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano was different. It had a celebratory feel to it because it was the culmination of two great careers. And you throw in the fact that it was the Super Bowl of women's boxing. And not only that, on fight night, it more than delivered.
It was like, that's the big part of it, is it's so much hype, and then it over-delivered for that.
You could talk to...
It's virtually impossible.
Right.
It's
that's what ever happened. In the boxing world, oftentimes it's a big hype, and then you're kind of left with a fight that doesn't exactly live up to the hype. For this one, it exceeded the hype because it was such a good fight, and I honestly believe that we're going to see round 11, because it was a 10-round fight, right? Yeah. Round 11.
Right.
I don't think each lady has fallen off too much from 2022. I just cannot wait for this fight, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, this deserves its own main event," and hope it doesn't get lost in the fray because of Mike and Jake and what their stature is in the sports world, in the boxing world. I don't agree with that.
Look, I understand why boxing people say that, and a lot of people have said to me, "Should be the main event, should be its own event." When Jake and Mike got postponed, well, they should just done the date with Katie and Amanda.
Yeah.
Yes, I get that. Boxing fans are that eager to see the fight. However, there's going to be so many more people watching because of Jake and Mike.
Well, because of that, because of the platform.
And the platform.
And where it's at, it's a Jerry
We talked
World.
about it. Jerry World, the first one was the Super Bowl. What is this one? If that was the Super Bowl, I want you guys to get into it. Like,
all they know is to
World
come
Cup
forward.
final.
Yeah, like
this only happens every once in a while.
Honestly,
they only know how to come forward. Amanda Serrano just throws a ton of punches. I'm curious to see how she's going to look. I know it's contracted at 138.
Correct.
So I'm interested to see how she looks there. She took a few fights at 140. She fought at 115.
I'll tell you something.
2019.
Amanda looks big, by the way. She did not play around making that weight. She did it in the right way. It looks like she's jacked up.
I think she knew that if she was going to get the rematch, it was going to come on Katie's terms because Katie won the first fight.
She won the first fight.
So it gave her like a year or two to get comfortable at 135, to get a fight at 140, and to figure out the weight and to figure out how she's going to go about this fight. Amanda Serrano is going to throw a ton of punches.
Well, I want to correct you a little bit. She made 126 in October for the 12-by-3, and then she was going to fight again in March. She made 126. Obviously, it was an issue after the weigh-in. But then when this one got postponed, then, yes, she fought a little heavier on Jake and Mike Perry to get a little more acclimated. I think the extra time helped her from that perspective. Mm-hmm. Also, Katie hasn't fought in a year. I mean, that's a big factor at play here. I mean, there's a lot of these factors, and everyone can look at this.
I was going to say, we doing a lot of yapping. I need to hear it pick, Dan Canobbio.
Oh, Amanda Serrano. How many times can you have Amanda Serrano as an underdog?
Yeah.
I mean, I like to look at the gambling odds. I'm going to be on the broadcast doing some stuff with DraftKings.
Shameless.
Just getting the odds out there. I will say,
Shameless.
How many times in Amanda's career can you get Amanda on plus money?
Yeah.
I also think she's fresher, and like you said, 1 year off for Katie Taylor. Heck of a fighter. You cannot take anything away from Katie Taylor. That win in the rematch over Chantel Cameron showed a lot about what she's about, relentless as well. I just cannot wait because that first fight was just an amazing atmosphere, and I think AT&T Stadium, 60,000, Mike Tyson undercard is a perfect stage for these two women.
Yeah.
Totally agree. And you make a great point. I would hazard a guess is the only time Amanda's ever been an underdog, at least in the advent of online betting.
Yeah.
And look, the first fight could have gone either way. You can nitpick this round, that round. Look, Amanda's been more active. I think that's helpful.
Yeah.
People, although she has significantly less fights, Katie's a little bit older than Amanda, plus a layoff. I mean, I think it's Amanda's night, and on top of that, I mean, look, maybe it's just obviously she works with us. Also, part of me as a fan just wants to see a third fight. So, there's never a trilogy if the same person wins the first two.
I will say this: the fifth round, if there was one more minute, which Amanda Serrano has championed 3-minute rounds, she's fought 12 3-minute rounds, which is an unbelievable accomplishment that she put forward on one of our MVP shows.
Yeah.
Yep.
If that fifth round in their first fight, go back and watch it, was one more minute, Amanda Serrano knocks out Katie Taylor.
And it's getting lost. This is getting lost in everything of Jake and Mike. But on the MVP face-to-face, they shook on fighting 12 threes in the trilogy fight. If the trilogy fight happens, they shook.
Right.
Katie agreed. She said, "I think 12 threes is better for me."
Yeah.
What a curveball. If and when a trilogy fight happens to do a 12 threes, man.
We know. I cannot wait for that one. But I want to get your guys' thoughts because, again, this is a star-studded card, not just the main, not just the co-main. I need one fight from each of you that you're focused in on and you want to see.
I like Bruce Carrington. I mean, this is a guy in a really, really hot division at featherweight. He's talking about fighting Naoya Inoue. I think he needs to pump the brakes a little bit on that. Very up and down type of fighter, but when he's up, Bruce Carrington is a problem. And to have him on this card, I think, speaks to the scope of this card. And I love, excuse me, I love the addition of Bruce Carrington to this card. So my eyes are on Bruce Shoo Carrington out of Brownsville.
That's a tremendous fight. A lot of American fans don't know Dana Coolwell. I mean, he's a tough customer. He picked up a couple losses early in his career, but, man, he's coming to fight. He came to the States about a month ago to finish training camp, get over jet lag, adjust to climate and all that stuff. That's your pick. I'm going to let you have that. But that's going to be a great –
pick him. I just – I'm
No, but for a fight. Right. I'm going to let you – it's going to be a great fight. Like, people don't know Dana. I think that's a tremendous fight. And
see, Mike tooting his own horn a little bit here, man, talking about how good these fights are on the card.
No, man, it's a great card. It's a great card.
Mike's like, I'm going to put some of this together, so it's a good fight.
Dude, it's so much easier. And unfortunately, we had one pull out, but I like to say people almost never pull out of these kind of cards.
Yeah, of course not.
Because they don't want to give up they don't want to miss the opportunity. And we're able to call fighters, here, do you want to fight on this show? Do you want to make probably the best money you've ever made on by far the biggest platform that's ever existed in the sport of boxing? It's a no-brainer. People are all willing to take tough fights. They're all tough fights. To answer your question, Mario Barrios, Abel Ramos,
banger.
I don't think it can miss. Abel is one of these hardened, grizzled veterans who's come this close to world titles numerous times, majority decisions, hurt Yodeni Ugas.
Yeah, for a tank.
Yeah. It's going to be a great fight, man. It's going to be a great fight. Barrios is really excited about fighting in Texas. He's from San Antonio.
Right.
They're both representing Mexico on this card as very proud Mexican Americans. Mario's also representing Texas. That's going to be a banger. And here's the thing. Here's the funny thing about that fight. Mario can make it easier for himself by boxing, and he's not going to.
Oh, never
He's
does.
not going
Here's
to.
that roar
He
of the crowd, man.
Never does.
He might for a round or two, and then Abel's going to start bringing that pressure, and, man, it's going to be a
Turn
war.
up.
So we're talking like we're close to 60,000 Friday night?
60
Is that
plus,
what we're-
yeah,
yeah, okay.
60 plus.
60 plus.
I was at Errol Spence.
Almost, yeah. I'm hearing, by the way, almost 70. So
Is that what your people are telling
climbing. Yeah.
you? Okay. So
I got people.
I was at Spence Mikey Garcia at AT&T Stadium in 2019. I think that was about 40 to 45,000. And I've never heard a roar like that. Obviously, I've been to some football games which is 60, 70,000, but it's a little different when you're at a fight. That is going to be some scene at AT&T Stadium. That sound that's going to
When Mike Tyson walks out,
I'm talking even earlier than that.
I know,
Even
but
if it's
I
like half full.
when he walks out here, you can't hear yourself think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't imagine.
I
But
haven't thought about that too. The first couple, the ring walk of Mike.
it's going to be nuts. But, boys, we're almost there. We have so much more left this fight week, though. Do not miss tomorrow live. We have the weigh-ins right back here at the Toyota Music Factory. And after that, we will be live for another Boxing Lab episode. Once again, thank you to Celsius for sponsoring the Boxing Lab. For Wade Plem, Dan Canobbio, and Mike Leanardi, we will see you tomorrow.